One thing about Spider-Man that has been present ever since his inception is the idea that the Spider-Man identity isn't the quote-unquote other side to Peter, but rather an extension of who he is. Is it an idealized version of him? Perhaps, but this was only early on. Over time, being Spider-Man made Peter a better person. Looking at his personality in high school and college, you can see a huge contrast in his actions and personality, although his core is still the same. And as time moved on, there became no separation between the mask and the man behind it. Which is why, thinking about it, most people really don't know who Peter really is. Only a select few do, and those are the ones that love him and hurt him the most. And one of those people is certainly not Aunt May, who for all intents and purposes is his mother. This created this tension that has been present ever since its inception, especially with Aunt May vocalizing her distaste towards Spider-Man. When the time came to cut the tension, it was done beautifully, happening over the span of one single conversation. This issue came early on in JMS's run on the character, following a brutal and long-ass fight with a newly introduced villain Morlun. Peter was left battered and bruised. Aunt May goes to his apartment to check up on him, and when she opens the door, she sees this. Without a word, he takes his costume and quietly sits on a bench in Central Park, processing what happened. Peter calls, she comes over, and they talk. Aunt May confronts Peter about the reasoning and rationale behind keeping his secret. It's not because he was afraid she would keel over and die. He was afraid she wouldn't accept him, that she would make him choose between giving this up and loving her, or being Spider-Man and being who he is. What did you think would happen if I found out, Peter? Did you think I would just keel over and die? When your parents died, I raised you. I carried that burden and it never broke me, though there were times I thought it might. When your Uncle Ben died and most of my world died with him, it would have been easy to just give up, to roll over and die. But you needed me, so I dealt with it and kept going. I have buried friends and loved ones and relatives. I have watched you suffer over your own losses, knowing there was nothing I could do but be there when you needed me. If I could bear all that, Peter, do you really think I would fall apart because of this? They have essentially lost years to a lie. They have lost years of an honest relationship they could have had. Spider-Man stories are often a reflection of reality, relatable to most aspects of our lives. Revealing a hidden part of who you are to your parents is something people around the world can relate to on a deep and personal level. JMS is able to write such strong, realistic, and powerful dialogue to convey this message, and it's never more apparent than the moment when Peter reveals why he is who he is, when he reveals the one moment that made him Spider-Man, the death of Uncle Ben. And when he opens his heart to her, telling her about this incredible guilt he has carried all throughout his life, he's heartbroken, not because she blames him, but because he carried it all alone by himself, despite her carrying that very same sense of responsibility over his death. It is a moment of catharsis for these characters. They can support each other and lift the weight off one another's shoulders. In the end, May is honest. She's not okay with Peter doing this, but she's trying. She will keep trying for both of them. Because as much as the truth hurts, a lie hurts much, much more.